Now that we've taken a look at an example computing the monthly payment, including the principal and interest, and we've also talked a little bit about how a bank maybe determines whether or not a purchaser has ability to pay back the loan, let's determine how much the house would totally cost you. Okay, so this is the same example. We have the Martins who want to purchase a house for $249,000. So they'll make a 15% down payment of $37,350, and they obtained a 30-year conventional mortgage for $211,650 at 7%. Now they also paid 2 points at closing, and these points then is what had them result in this lower interest rate. So apparently it was supposed to be even higher than this. Now their monthly principal and interest payments on their mortgage is $1,408.11. And that's actually what was computed on the previous example. So based upon all this information, let's determine the total amount, including the principal, interest, down payment, and points that the Martins will pay for their house over 30 years. So they're going to be paying $1,408.11. Now they're going to be paying that every month for 30 years. So ultimately they have 360 payments. So if they're going to be paying this each month for 360 payments, they'll have paid out a total of, so this is going to be a big number, $506,919.60. Okay, so this is how much they will have paid out to pay down their principal and their interest. Okay, so all of that is bundled up in this number. Now, in addition to that, they also had a down payment of $37,350. And they paid 2 points at closing. Now you go back to example 1 to recall that dollar amount, but so when they paid these 2 points at closing, they paid $4,233. Right, so if we add all of that up, that will then tell us what they paid out for this house over all these different areas. So they'll have paid out a total of $548,502 and 60 cents. Okay, so then how much of that paid out was paid out in interest? Now we're going to talk about two different ways to calculate this. Now one way is we could say, okay, so if I paid out a total of $548,502.60, okay, so that's totally what we paid on a house that originally cost us, or would have cost us if we were able to come up with the money all up front, $249,000. Okay, so this was the selling price of the house. So if we were to find the difference in these two amounts, that would be $299,502 and 60 cents. This is how much we paid in interest Now keep in mind this is including paying for those points. Okay, so remember, points is considered to be prepaid interest. Okay, so this is one way that we could compute this. Now maybe is a slightly different way. Okay, if we were to look at this amount, okay, so this is what we paid out for our loan. So we paid out $506,919.60. Okay, so this is what we paid out to pay back the loan. When the loan was for $211,650. Now at this point in time, if you were to subtract those two amounts, that would tell you how much you paid in interest over the life of the loan, which would have been $295,269.60. Now at this point in time, that's how much they paid in interest over the life of their loan. So at this point in time, we would have to add in the points. Okay, so the points were that prepaid interest. And if we were to do that, you would get it the same amount, $299,502.60. Maybe it's just a slightly different way of thinking about it. Okay, so for Part C, how much of the first mortgage payment is applied to the principal? Well, the interest that's going to be charged on the first payment is equal to the principal times the rate times the time. Now, at that point in time, the principal is the loan amount, so they would still have the entire loan to pay off, so the $211,650. The interest rate on the loan is 7%, or 0.07, and the time that would have elapsed at this point in time is 1 month. So we'll write 1 month in terms of 1/12. It's 1/12 of a year. So doing this computation, then we get that the interest would be $1,234.63 if we were to round that to the nearest penny. Okay, so there's my interest. Now we will end up sending in a payment of $1,408.11. Okay, so this is the payment. Out of that payment, they're going to siphon off $1,234.63 for themselves for interest. Okay, so there's the cost of doing business that comes out of your payment. So the difference is what is actually going to go to paying down your loan. So the difference in these two amounts is $173.48. Okay, so you thought that all that money was going to go down to paying out your loan? Not so much. Actually, it's going to be less than $200. Okay, so how much of that first mortgage payment is applied to the principal? Just $173.48. Now, they didn't ask that for this problem, but if you would wanted to, now at this point in time, your new loan balance would be, let's see, you did owe $211,650. You have just paid off a awesome $173.48. The difference in these two will end up being $211,476.52. So that's how much money you have still to pay off on your loan. Now this process right here, where every time you send in a payment, so notice your payments are fixed. Every time you would send in a payment, that would bring your overall loan balance down, so then we can figure out the interest then on that current balance, and then figure out how much of your payment then goes toward interest. This would be how much pays off your principal, and then we could find the new loan balance. Now, when you take out a loan, you can ask for an amortization table, which is a table that keeps track of all of this stuff. So your book referenced a table, and they said that it was built from a website for hsh.com. Now, they said they went to something called a monthly mortgage payment calculator. I just went to calculators here, and then I had said mortgage calculator with amortization schedule, which is the first link. So at that point in time, let's enter in our criteria, because computers can do all this stuff really nicely. So this was going to be a loan for $211,650. The interest rate on this loan was 7%. The loan was going to be for 30 years, and I don't care about when this is going to start. Okay, so I'm going to hit calculate. Now at this point in time, they're saying my payment amount is $1,408.12, so they're a penny off from us. So I'm not quite sure how they're getting this payment amount, and maybe what their rules are for rounding. So maybe they say they're always going to round up. I'm not quite sure. But I want to go to this amortization schedule. Now at this point in time, this has been collapsed for all the years. So if I click on this, this can expand it out. And this is what we just did, is we figured out for the first month. So for that first month, when that payment is sent in, now also notice that they're altering the payments by pennies here. That would not happen on a normal loan. You would send the same amount of money every month. So I'm not quite sure, again, why they're, in one month it's 12 cents and the other month it's 11 cents. But out of that payment, part of it will go toward paying down your interest. Part of it, then the rest will go down to paying down your principal. And then overall, then they can figure out what the overall loan balance is right here. Okay, so then we could just keep doing this for every month then, and then you could drill down through all the different years over this 30-year loan and see how this all gets knocked down. We're going to be working through some of the calculations for one of these schedules later on in this section.